So we're going to start the instruction sheet off here. It talks about removing the retainers for the skid plate. Basically what they want you to do is they want you to get up under the vehicle here and this front half of the skid plate. This is the best I'm going to be able to do with videoing, so be patient. There's a bolt here. There's a bolt down here. There's a bolt over here. There's a bolt up here. Let's remove those real quick and let's lay them face down. Not on the surface side, but face down. Flip the panel over and slide it up underneath the vehicle. So they look like 4 15 millimeters. I'm going to pull them off right now. So I don't know that it really matters to you, but pay attention when you pull these off of here. If you look, the two different sets of bolts have different colored Loctite, so I'm assuming different strength, or maybe it doesn't matter. I wouldn't really think it matters because they look the same, but the ones on the bottom had like the red, the ones on the top had the green. Maybe that's just a coincidence. Maybe they ran out the factory and had to switch over something real quick. I don't know. But anyway, put the lower cover down here. I did set it face down because it started to slip, so I had to like slide it down and hope that it didn't scratch up a bunch of stuff, but I don't really think it matters anyway. It's a damn off-road vehicle, so just try to take care of it the best you can. And it's actually a really heavy treated surface anyway, so there's not very much in damage you're actually going to do. This son of a gun is heavy when you slide it off, so be careful. So the next section here says remove the push retainers that have these two covers on right here. They want you to remove them. So they're just clips. Pop them off with a clip tool. All right, so here I have push tabs. These just pop out, and then on the inside right here, see those? They just pop right out. Once you get the little push tabs, top and bottom. And I guess just for now, just set it off to the side. Let's continue. It says if you have like a push bar thing on the front of it, to remove it. And now what they want you to do is they want you to pull the bolts out of, it's a T30. They want you to pull the T30s and stuff out of the top cover. And then, so right here, they want you to pull the T30s out of here, front and back. And I'm assuming you got to lift this top lift and pull the top lip up and pull it off on this top part right here. So it says to use it says it's a T30 right here in the corner. It is not a T30. It shows the bolt on the top and it shows the bolt on the front. I don't know if you're going to experience that or not, but a T30 actually strips it out. You put a T40 in it, and it's even just a tad bit loose with a T40. So I guess through further inspection, they actually just want you to do the two front there and the two top right there. So it's literally just these two and these two. And then it doesn't say anything else about any of the other bolts. And I used a stubby T40, not T30 like it says in here, because the T30 does not work. It's a T40. And then scroll down a little. It says also says the torque is 18 foot-pounds if you want to put it back together. And then it says what you got to do after you do that is remove the front bumper bolts. And it says shows picture of 3 here. So let's see what those are real quick. Sure enough, there's 3. Looks like here, here, and here. They want you to pull those 3 bolts out of both these front shackles, or these both eyelets, these hooks. So let's pull them out right now. Actually, I take that back because it said if equipped, remove the bolts and safari bar. So what it's showing you is removing that as if something's there and it's not. So we didn't even really need to pull those out. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those back in real quick. Basically where we're at is all we had to do is we could have skipped that step and just remove the 3 15mm bolts on both sides, and the bumper literally comes right out. So I'm going to stick those bolts that I took out back in the bumper real quick. So don't make the mistake I did. If you don't have a bar, don't take those bolts out. I just put them back in, everything's fine. So now we scroll on to the next. And it says use 2 people to take the bumper off, set it aside. It says remove the retainers on the front license plate mounting bracket. And then let's see here, retainers and front license plate mounting bracket. I don't even think any of that was installed on this yet because there's like nothing here. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's those bolts right there. Yeah, see, now it says remove the recovery. If you got a license plate on it, they want you to take it off because you ain't going to need it anymore. It's going to be relocated. And then they want you to take those 2 bolts that I just pointed out inside out of there. The 2 10 mils, they want you to pull them out. Or it says 8 millimeter. They look like 10 mils. How in the hell could that be? Let's go back and look at this again. Right next to the oval port, right here, that is not an 8 millimeter. Why is all their specs off? Like almost as if this doesn't even go to that. It's weird. Anyway, their shit's way off it so far. So let's pull these out of here so far, it says. So it was 10 mils. It was not 8 mils like the diagram said. So we just continue on. So this part right here is done. Now we scroll on down some more. And it says remove and discard the recovery hooks. They don't want the recovery hooks on there anymore. So it says throw them away, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put the recovery hooks in the back of the vehicle in case the customer, whoever buys it, wants to put everything back. So let's remove the recovery hooks. Well, they want you to remove it off of the bumper. So it's still installed to the bumper. So we'll have to flip this back over. If you want, you can put some like those pads that I have on the cart right there, like the red fender skirts. You can put them down, but this metal is so hard that it doesn't really scratch it. You have to really try super hard to scratch these. So the hooks are off. When you just pulled those 2 10 mils out of there, you release the rest of the pressure on the hooks because the bolts that go through the bumper into the body aren't holding it anymore. So those 10 mils were the last thing that was holding the recovery hooks together. So those are off. Now we can move to our next step. It says remove the plastic holding nuts on both sides of the vehicle right here on the inside here. It says pull them off. The inside of the frame. It says you're supposed to be able to spin these plastic tabs up. So yeah, they are. They just come off. And the one on the inside too. Now do it on the other side also. Now that you know what it feels like, you can just reach back there instead of climbing down. There's one. And the same thing over here on this side. So I got those off now. Now it says, now that you got those tabs off of there, they want you to pull the brackets off of there and throw them away, but don't throw them away. Put them in the back of the vehicle. So basically they want you to reach back there and pull these off. If you ever have to put them back on, remember, they go on this way with the flat part up against the back of the horn. And I want you to do the same thing on the other side here. And now they want you to go to the next step, which it says install the 2 Clevis brackets to the bumper. So they want you to use these 2 brackets here. I went ahead and scrolled ahead a little bit just to make sure I was putting them on the right way. And what you want is, you want the flush side, those 2 10 mils that they keep calling 8 mils, but it's not. You want the flush side facing out, and you want the bolts facing in. So let's go ahead and install that. Put this back on there. It said 7.5 foot-pounds. I don't understand why, but let's just do it real quick. Just snug it up. Give it a pop, beep, beep, beep. With your impact, you'll be all right. All right, I got the brackets mounted in here, but it's fucking retarded how they do it. They still tell you to use an 8 mil, and it's not an 8 mil. And then when you get them in here and you get everything lined up, the factory bolt that goes in there anyway doesn't even want to reach through all the way, so you're lucky if you grab just a couple threads to hold it in there, because if you look in all the bolt kits that come with it, they don't give you a new replacement bolt to go in there, so you got to use what you have. And it's really retarded. But anyway, the brackets are on. So that's what they look like now.
Okay.
So it now tells you pull the 2 bolts out of the front of the frame, 2 15 millimeters, and those would be right here. They want you to pull these 2 out. Frame horn underneath, 2 15 mils, pull them out. So I've got the brackets off right here. Basically that is what holds the intercooler up in there. You see how it's moving right now? This intercooler will literally drop right out of here right now. It's held on by the bracket on this side and the bracket on that side by the 2 15 mils. And then it's got its own active grill shutter assembly. So if like anybody ever wanted to mod their Bronco, dude, it's like easy. Clips, clip, drop it out, put a bigger one in, done. I mean, that's going to be a super easy DIY mod if anybody ever wants to do it. But it is a pretty beefy intercooler to begin with, so I don't know. I mean, it's actually, once you get in here and figure out where everything is, it's nothing that hard about the front end of this vehicle. It just falls apart basically. All right, next order of business, now that we have the bolts off, it says install the CAC bracket with bolts to the frame. It says there's 2 brackets, 2 G brackets, G and D. It says the G bolts, the D bracket, something like, let's see what this is here. And that would be these things right here, because if you look, it's got the 2 open bolt holes and it's got that part right there in the front. So then you'd need the bolts to go with it, which have some kind of collar on them. It shows G. Now it wants you to put the bracket back up there with the associated CA and FA back up with the bracket, but they don't say whether or not they want you to reuse the same damn bolts that you had in there. So it shows you doing that. Okay, that's done. Come on, damn it. Cooperate with me here. Then it shows you pulling the bolts out. Okay, that's done. Perform on the sides, that's done. And then it says install the CAC winch bracket and bolts to the frame. Okay, I can put the bracket back up there with the bolt, but how in the hell do I know? Is it these that came in the pack? Nothing's labeled. And that don't look like the same length as those, so I'm assuming I'm going to have to put the same bolts back in. Where in the hell do these go? Alright, make sure when you're installing it, this right here, it's got like the tapered sides in the front. This gets the tapered sides on the passenger side. And when you pull this off, like they say in the instructions, you only got to pull the front bolt out and loosen the back bolt, because these are slotted and they fit right in there. Same thing over here. It's got a slot in the back of it. So on this back one, you just have to pull it down some, and then you can slide that in there and then tighten it back up and set your bolt in here. On the inside, it has these little guide things to make sure you're on the outside of the frame properly. So that's how that installs. That's how that bracket passes through there. And I just reused the factory bolts and put a little bit more blue Loctite on it like it was, and you torque them to 60 foot-pounds. A couple of ugga-duggas, it'll be good. Now it shows what they want you to do is they want you to put these through the front of it. Alright, so here I want you to take these weird looking deals. I want you to shove them up inside this hole. And they go like so. Once you do that on both sides, So this here, like so. Let's scroll down to the next step. And then is install the left hand inner and outer bracket to frame rail. Hand tighten the nuts at this time. So J and L, whatever the hell J and L is. Supposed to be 4 of them. Well, there's 6 of these. So I'm assuming these 6 nuts here I think a good assumption would be these 6 nuts here probably go to these 6 bolts here. And then these here hell, I don't know anymore. Let's just figure it out. It shows here AA's on that outside and DA's on that outside. So if that's the case, and we're looking at the frame horn the right way from the front of the vehicle, this is DA. And it says DA goes on this one. Probably something like, I don't fucking know. Let me do this with 2 hands. Probably something like so, because that goes through there. That goes through right there. And then you got this thing that drops down on the bottom here. And that'll give it something to ride up against and catch when you tighten stuff down. And it says finger tighten the bolt on there. I don't know what damn bolt goes on there, but we'll find out. And then I took, what is this one here? This one ends in EA, and it has a step right here on the side, and it basically keeps it up away from that hump on the frame rail. So that one goes there, and then this one, this is the AA one again. That should go on the outside over here like so. Like that. And then this one here should go on the inside of it. And that's the BA one. Like so. So that there. So this is BA. So we're looking at the driver's side, BA and AA, and this is EA and DA. So it's A, B, D, and E. That's how these go on there. The inside gets a flat bracket. The outside gets a bracket with a little spacer on it. I think this here is the ones they want you to use on the frame because they're not colored. And I think using common sense, the colored ones would be what they want you to use on the outside. But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't even tell me. So all the brackets are installed now. A, B, and then D, E. And then it says install the right hand inner and outer bracket at the time. And then it even says they want you to do the opposite of what you just did. Put the nuts on there. And then it says install the bracket over. And then it says install the frame over bracket. So that would be these that come in the kit. And they basically just slip right over. slip up underneath the wiring harness if it'll go. Let me use two hands. I can't do this. Well, it's because I was putting it on the wrong side. The 17 Bravo 756 AA goes on the passenger side. And then we'll put the one on the driver's side as well, which is the other part of the kit, which is this one. So this one is a 17 Bravo 757 AA. And this one is a 757 or 756, that's the difference. The 56 goes on the passenger side, the 57 goes on the driver's side. So there's this one, it's in. Let's go to the next step and see what it says. Now it says, starting by hand, install the plastic holding nuts that you took off originally and put them on the wings in the back. Or put them on the brackets in the back to hold them in place. So basically, they want you to put this back on the little tabs right here. And then put the little wing nuts back on there. Like so. And like so. And the same thing over here. You don't have to screw them on, you just push them on and they'll go. You can give them a little twist if you want, just to make them a little bit more snug. But they'll push right on there. Just to make them, give them a little snug. It says 7 foot-pounds because they don't want you to strip them out because they only have a little bit of holding power. So there you go. And now with everything installed, it says go through and torque the nuts that you just got finished with to 35 foot-pounds. Sorry about the light. And then once you torque everything, it shows everything coming back together here. What the hell this is, I don't know. Install front bumper and connector to electrical connector. There was no connector there to begin with. And they're tripping. I don't know what their issue is. Anyhow, let's go ahead and torque these nuts here to 35 foot-pounds. This one, the one on the inside, the one over there. Let's torque them, give them a dugga. And yeah. Alright, I've got all the nuts torqued down inside out now. And now what it says to do is once you get them all torqued down, $35 foot-pounds, they want you to install the front bumper. 2 people install the front bumper. And then they want you to put your 3 bolts, which are these 3 big ones on each side, back where they go through the front bumper. And then torque them down to 59 foot-pounds. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll be back. Alright, so what I used to center it up before I torqued it all down was I picked at this bolt right here. And I centered it up with that aluminum piece right behind it right there. I did it on both sides. And then so I'm gonna have to come down just a hair because this side is up a little too high. Now I've got it down level all the way across and centered. It says the next step here is to take the additional 2 nuts that you have left over and put them on the bottom, which that is right down here. And I'm only assuming that these are the right ones just because there's nothing spelled out clearly. So this is what I'm doing, because these are the ones that aren't the same color as the body, so I'm assuming they need to be used underneath where they're hidden. Okay, it says those bolts underneath were only supposed to be torqued to 25 foot-pounds, so oh wait, what does it say? Yeah, 25.8 foot-pounds. And then the next step, it says you need to put, that's where those 3 big bolts come in, those right there. You need to put these up there, and they need to be mounted and oriented just like they do in the picture, with the eyelid hanging down. And it says they need to be torqued down to 81 foot-pounds once you get those bolts put in there. Alright, I've got them all in and they're all torqued down now on both sides. So now what we got to do is, it says the next step is putting the plastic covers back on and popping all the little plastic rivet tabs and stuff right back in there where it goes. There's the trim pieces put back on there. All the plastic rivets, the little rivets put back in there, top and bottom. Everything looks perfectly centered just where it belongs. And let's see what the next step is here. So now they want them brackets put in there, and they want those 4 shorter bolts put in, and they want the L turned towards the center. So the next step would be these. This is where the winch is going to mount. Like so. And then the bolts you're going to use are these smaller ones that came with the kit. And it says they get torqued to 59 foot-pounds. So yeah, I got one of them on. I'm going to put the other one on, and then we'll roll. So now the bracket assembly and everything that's going to hold the winch is there. But now what they want you to do is they want you to actually go start putting the plate together. So they want you to get the lower plate here, or the mounting plate. They want you to set it off to the side. And then they want you to grab the plate bracket and this. And then it shows using a bolt with no collar, which is these. And then these 2 here. And then it shows the lock washers here. And then they want you to install everything on the front of it with this here. Okay. Well, let's install it all. So this is what the setup looks like. Make sure it's down and it's level all the way. Make sure you look across the back right here, make sure you got it level. And then snug it all down. What do they want you to snug it to? 35 foot-pounds. So let's go on to the next step now. Now, it says not included. Go ahead and set up your plate, license plate bracket stuff. Well, there ain't no reason for that because we don't even have an owner of the vehicle yet. And then it says install the winch mounting nuts into the winch housing slots. Okay. We still have no clue where these go, so not exactly sure yet. So basically they just slide in there. So I just went over there and I just slid them right in where they go. And that was those chrome nylocks that were left over. And then scroll on down some. So they want you to go ahead and mount the winch to the assembly and run those bolts through the bottom. So 4 bolts through the bottom, and then they want you to align your cable going through the front right here And then they want you to torque everything to 35 foot-pounds. Now I'm actually going to mount it right here where it's at. I put a little dab of electric grease in each corner to hold those nuts in there because they want to fall out. You could put a little piece of tape if you want, but I thought electric grease ain't going to hurt nothing. Just a little dab in each corner to hold it. And then I'll just flip the plate up, pull the actual winch cable through, and then bolt everything down. So the electric grease did work very, very well, but my winch eyelid fell back in. And what I had to do is I had to straighten everything back out back here and get it fed back through. It's kind of a bear. Now I put a bolt in there, and I'm just going to let it hang there until I get everything installed so that can stay for now anyway. So now what we'll do is we'll work on the next step, which is probably going to tell us to go ahead and put it on the vehicle. So the winch is installed to the platform now, 35 foot-pounds torque, and then it says engage the winch wire harness push pin retainers into the winch plate. So they want you to, okay, let's go look at this here. Let's see here. Let's look at that diagram. I think what they have you looking at is the back of it right here, because you can see the bolts at the back, and they want the harness ran around the back side of it. And that's on the disc, the flat disc side. So if I go over here and look to figure out how it's routed, the harness goes down that way. So, let's see here. So if you take the black tabs on the ground wire here and you put them in here first, and then you try to poke these white ones through the holes back here, you won't get them to fit. They just keep popping out. What you got to do is you got to run the ground wire along that and then zip tie this to that harness using these holes and stuff that they put in there. Well, that one might go over the end of the bolt right there, but using these eyelids, and you zip tie it around the harness. So that's what I'm going to do for right now. So what I did is I ran a few zip ties kind of loose here so I could reach back in there and snip them and finish snugging them up. And then I got these over here to where this one could be stretched over and put on that bolt hole right there, and then I could finish zip tying this off to the side. I can't imagine I wouldn't have any room there. So that's that. Those 3 black bolts will go to the bottom here, mounting this crossbar on there. So now what they want you to do is they want you to put the crossbar on and only start one nut, and that's the one on the outside that is not lined up straight. So I've got the outside one on each side. There's a nut there, and there's a nut there. Those are torqued down. And now what we're going to do is, I think what they want you to do is they want you to set this assembly on there now. So it says torque those to 35 foot-pounds done. And now they want you to drop the whole assembly onto the front bracket right here. Okay, I did set it on the front. This side went in easy. This side over here, I had to tap on the corner right there just a little bit. So I'm going to take a permanent marker, because this didn't want to line up all the way. But I just tapped it a couple times, doop, 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 and it dropped right in. So now I have enough room where I can come through here. I can snug up all my zip ties, make sure all my push tabs and everything go back in where they're supposed to go, like so. And then trim everything up, torque everything down. These are hanging out to the side over here. And that right there is going to go on that bolt. Let's tighten everything up and torque it down. Okay, everything's in. It's all torqued down. I got this snugged up where I wanted it. I got to push this one clip. I got to tighten this up right here just a little bit. The zip tie, trim the zip ties back. And then go to the next step. All right, this is where I'm at with that. The negative cable, it gets pulled up over the top, ran back down through this corner, and it comes out right here. The positive cable here, it goes back through the inside of the plastic right here, comes out right there. What I did was I ran a fish tape down here on the inside of this liner, because I don't want to pull a damn tire and stuff off a liner just to pull all this stuff through. So basically that will go up over it, and that will go up over, and then both those lines will get pulled up through the inside of that liner. So I'm going to pull them up through there. The positive goes to the furthest terminal away right here. And the negative, I'm pretty sure they have it going to this post here. So let's see when we get there. I'm going to pull those wires up through right here with this fish tape. That's called a fish tape. If you don't have one, go ask one of the master techs in the shop for one, or order one on Amazon for like 18 bucks. Saves you hours and hours and hours every year. The tricky part is going to be getting the negative cable up through this side over here to bolt to this negative eyelid right here. So you're going to have to play with your fish tape, or take your fender liner off and just feed it up in there, but I'm not going to do that. So again, I'm going to keep going. So I readjusted, and you see my cables. I'm taking my fish tape through here and pulling it up. I don't know if you'll be able to catch. Alright, so I got the ground hooked up right here. All I did was just push that liner down some, and I used my fish tape and pulled it right up through there, and now I'll fish this back through and pull my positive up right by the battery. Same thing with the positive wire. You see how it's tucked away right there? I pulled it up through the little flap area, pull it up behind the battery right in here, and there it is. Just got to put a 10mm nut on it and snug it down. Alright, it's all ran. The negative's in there, positive's in there, and now you can see how everything's nice and tucked off to the side right there, not in the way. And it has enough play for you to work with, but it doesn't have enough play to get into anything and get damaged. And then just make sure it's nice and dressed like that. You'll be all right. See what the next step is. Alright, they want you to put the accessories on it. I don't know that that's a good idea, because that stuff's going to get stolen if I put that stuff on there. This stuff will get stolen if I put it on there and leave it outside. So I don't think that, I think if I just left that bolt in there for right now and then had this put on afterwards, because if they ever want to put this out front, somebody could come steal this stuff right off of it. Yeah, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it exactly like it is. I don't think it would be a good idea to install all that and give somebody the opportunity to steal it from somebody. And then it says here, connect the remote to the winch and test the operation. Close the hood, put everything back the way it goes, put your lower plate and everything back on, your bolts down there. Connect forward and diagnostic FDRS and start a new vehicle session. Select toolbox, then scroll to RCM restraint control module on the left hand side of the screen. Download the RCM winch configuration. Select run after the download is completed and follow the on-screen instructions. So let's test it real quick. Alright, I got the flap pulled up. Works good. I'm gonna leave it like that with just a little bit of pressure on it, just because I don't want nobody to steal this. Just a tad bit of pressure is what I left on it, and I'm gonna leave it alone because it's like up on the rounded edge and the top's barely touching. I just don't want nobody to fool with it. So we're good. Our operation's good. Now we just got to run the on-screen stuff. So let's do that real quick. So what's unique about this one, with this being the first one that we had, this is the one that we told Ford, you know, we won't sell this one. This is the one that we have to sit on for like 6 months before we can get rid of, because it's the first one we receive, which would be considered like a demo car or a manager's car. And because of that, we decided to add the extra add-ons. The drop tray in the back here, it drops down. It says Bronco, you know, cable. It's not made for a ton of weight, but you can put a decent amount of weight on here because it is steel cable. And then we also put the, I don't know what you call it, cargo tray in here. So that's where I put those. So push button here, release, pull out, and that's where I put the accessories. That's where I put the frame hooks that were in there. The license plate dress up bracket will go in there. It's keyed, locked, whatever, however you want to do it. There's the bags for the doors in case you ever want to pull the doors off. All you have to do to pull the doors off, I think, is like one connector. No, it's not even a connector on this one. It's like a 10 mil bolt, and that's it. And then this is all hydraulic. Yeah, so let's put that lower cover on real quick. Remember those 4 15mm bolts? Go ahead and zip them up there real quick, and then let's back it up and hook FDRS up to it and program the RCM. I forgot earlier when I was down here to go ahead and trim these straps off of there. Make sure they're nice and dressed up. And yeah, nice and tidy and clean. Everything put back the way it goes. So again, programming. All right, now we have FDRS hooked up. It says to select RCM on the toolbox left side, and then RCM with configuration. Run. And then it says this procedure requires the running of multiple applications which will automatically run in sequence. Okay, accept. Connect a battery power source, so charger or something. Yes. Vehicle safety, including airbags, operators and attendants, software failures, or maybe. So yes. And then please enter part number in capital letters. Refer to the part number supplied with the winch. And then it says right on the screen, M-1821, it says is the part number, and they want you to put that in and then continue programming. If equipped with front bumper park aid, disable park aid's front sensors, press features on the sync touchscreen, press driver assistance, and select park aid front sensors off. So we're going to go program M-1821. So we'll type in caps M-1821 and then select OK. Please take note of 5-digit code above. So it's just all zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Please enter, refer to previous code. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Hit OK. If you wish to continue, yes. Ignition on, engine off, already done. Configuring module. It's going through. Ignition off. Okay. Ignition on, engine off. Okay. Updating vehicle configuration. Configuration completed. Now just make sure no codes have set during programming, clear codes, and then you're done. Ignition off. Okay. Powering down, please wait. Application finished, press OK to continue. OK. Processing data, winch configuration. May take a few minutes. Downloading software. Before command, connect the battery, power source. Okay. Is the original module installed? Yes. Turn engine on. Ignition on, engine off. Ignition on, engine off. Okay. Establishing communication. Turn ignition off. Okay. Install the new module. It's already installed. Turn the ignition on. Okay. Running data collection. So there's much more to it than just clearing, turning the ignition off and clearing. Like I said, you gotta wait till everything's finished and it says it's done before you clear any kind of codes that were set during programming. It's going through a formatting process right now, checking software downloaded. Everything's back on. The module will now be configured. So just go through and follow everything. That's all you gotta do. Updating the database. Just parked it, got changed. Decided I'd do a quick walk around so you guys can see it. Look at that winch. Big old beefy thing, man. Well, I hope y'all liked the video. Sorry it was so long, but you got to get in depth with some of this stuff and talk it through and make sense of the situation. And there it is. Thanks, guys. Be blessed.